lights shine them bright. Gonna have a brand new show tonight, with glitz and glam on the marquee, perhaps a Tony nominee. Stars beam brightly, see them glow, sell out nightly, SRO. It's time to applaud the Broadway beat. Stars beam brightly, see them glow, in the footlights of a show. Life is sweet on the world's most famous street.
Tickets, please.
Take a seat.
Cue the band.
And tap your feet to the rhythm of the Broadway beat. The Broadway beat. Broadway beat.
Hello, I'm Richard Ridge, and welcome to Broadway Beat, our weekly half-hour behind-the-scenes look at the very best of a New York theater on Broadway and beyond. This week's show, we have a look at a legend, a classic, and a musical poet. We'll meet the cast of the Roundabout Theater Company's new production of the Kurt Weill Bertolt Brecht musical, The Threepenny Opera, which will open April 20th at Studio 54. It stars Tony Award winner Alan Cumming, and making her Broadway debut is Emmy and Grammy Award winner Cyndi Lauper. We'll also drop by the opening night celebration of the new revival of Jacques Brel is Alive and Well and Living in Paris, which is playing at the Zipper Theater on West 37th Street. But we start things off downtown at the Actors Playhouse on 7th Avenue South to chat with television and cult film star Adrianne Barbeau, who has returned to the stage as a legendary Judy Garland in the new play called The Property Known as Garland, which is written by her husband, Billy Van Sant.
Before we were booked on this tour, the only work Johnny could get was singing in exclusive clubs for a certain type of male clientele. Oh yes, very European. I've noticed this same particular group of men follows me around everywhere I go. At first I thought it was the same two fellows. Then I realized, oh no, there are thousands of them. I'm really quite fascinated by it, I must say. It's a huge compliment. I don't know why they're so fascinated with me, though. I really don't. But I do love them. I really do. I must. I married a few.
It's daunting. It's daunting to get up on stage at night and look out into the audience, and I can see from some of the faces that there are, these are hardcore Judy fans, and they have certain expectations. And one of the reasons I said I was willing to do it is because Billy Van Sant, the writer, and Glenn Cassell, who directed it, both said, we're not doing an impersonation. This is not a Judy Garland impersonation. You're not, which put me at ease because I couldn't do a Judy Garland impersonation. That's not my talent. There are people who do that and do it brilliantly. So this is, I think of it as a representation of Judy Garland, or an impression of her. And I hope that at some point in the evening people forget that they're seeing an actress and think that they're in the room with Judy. But I'm not attempting to accomplish that by imitating her in any way. The research that I garnered the most from was Judy doing the talk shows. Jack Parr, Dick Cavett, Merv Griffin, Barbara Walters, Johnny Carson, because there I felt I was seeing her, in her more unguarded moments than even in her, certainly than in her films or in her TV show. And what I grew to realize and appreciate, which I didn't know before, was what an incredible raconteur she was and how fast she was. I mean, she was just witty, and funny, and had incredible timing. And I think people who only know her from her movies or from the concerts maybe they might get a sense of it, but you don't really realize how brilliant she was, how bright she was. I mean, just intelligent, and how verbally what verbal acumen she had until you see her sparring with Jacques Brel
because I have a lot of those too, and I said, she was so quick and just sparring with the best of them.
Yes, and she was in control. She knew what she was doing. I mean, she had certain stories that she knew worked, but you have to know how to get to that in a talk show situation, and she knew how to do that too.
I designed this myself, Yes. I can detach the skirt and wear it as a cape, too, for whenever I want to look like Orson Welles.
I play the stage manager at the Falconer Theater in Copenhagen, Denmark. His name's Ed, and assistant stage manager, really. So my job is to run around backstage, just make sure everybody's set to go, and as a liaison for Miss Garland, to basically make sure she gets everything she needs in order to get on stage on time. And that's kind of where the conflict comes in.
She must have seen my eyes of desperation, and, well, she's making the potatoes. I have someone waiting there to drive them over here. They should be here in, 3 minutes. Is all right?
Oh, thank you, Ed. You're so good to me.
Oh, yes, ma'am. It's 10 minutes, Miss Garland.
Well, going into it, I said to Adrianne, I don't want it to be an impersonation. We have enough impersonations of Judy Garland, and they do it very well. I want the essence. Adrianne's such a good actress that I wanted that essence of Judy Garland and the dramatic flow of the play working, because the play really has a nice arc, a good beginning, middle, and an end, and I really wanted to work on that instead of really working on an exact impersonation, more like Judy Davis does in the movie.
What do you think the essence of Judy Garland is?
For me, I think it's this fighting spirit to survive, that no matter what, she's going to rise above all the stuff in her life and succeed in what she does best, entertaining this crowd. And when she gets there, she, like I said before, she rises above everybody else. And my father went to the Palace Theater to see her comeback. He said people were standing on the chairs at the end. How many performers go through that? And that's what I think is so exciting about her.
Now, from a director's standpoint, it's a two-character play.
Yes.
So what are the challenges from your standpoint of putting an evening like this together?
I think there's two challenges about it. One, going back and forth with the voices in her head and making it real in this situation in the dressing room, and also making you really feel like you're spending a truthful hour and a half with this woman before she walks on stage. And what that business is all the way through that whole hour and a half, like most actors go through. And this is a part of the showbiz that people don't see. They don't see that hour and a half before that curtain goes up. Well, that's what we're hoping they'll share here with her.
You never know that kind of love, Mama. Never. It's the one thing you couldn't take from me. That's mine. They love me. Hunchback, crooked teeth, and insecurities, all that's mine. Alone. I love them. And I need them. But you know something? They need me too.
One of the highlights of the Roundabout Theater Company's 40th anniversary season is their new production of the Bertolt Brecht Kurt Weill musical, The Threepenny Opera, which will open at Studio 54 on April 20th. It stars Tony Award winner Alan Cumming as Macheath. Joining him as Jenny, making her Broadway debut, is Emmy and Grammy Award winner Cyndi Lauper. Joining them are Anna Gasteyer and Jim Dale, who recently dropped by the theater for a meet and greet. This is a very physical show and a tough show to do, Threepenny, isn't it?
Absolutely, especially at my age, yes. No, Peachum is a very physical role. He does a lot of work in it, and Scott Elliott, knowing Jim Dale, is incorporating that into everything he can possibly think of. But it's a joy. It's a joy to actually be there with all this talent. I mean, that talent is so wonderful. Everybody's sort of giving, and you can't help but bring your best out then, because you're just giving back. And so there's so much sharing up there on that stage. We all love each other off stage. That's a great thing. We've got to know each other, and there was so much talent there. Every one of them is just 100%. Nellie McKay is, as I keep saying to everybody, she's another dimension, really. Alan couldn't be better. I think Alan is one of the great actors that we have in America. just watch him in this later on. Let's see, and Anna Gasteyer. Fun to work with. And then, of course, Cyndi. Cyndi is Cyndi, and she's a gem on stage to watch. Oh, brilliant. Bring tears to your eyes.
It must be great for her making her debut with all these incredible talent around her.
Yes, because, you know, Cyndi brings to the stage what she has been famous for, but at the same time, the director is there to say, this is the way I'd like the character to go, and I'd like you to... So we all put ourselves in the hands of a good director, and it's a joy then, because it's his right, it's his journey that you're taking. It's not yours. It's his journey, and so you get on board with him, and he said, I'm going to turn left at the next junction. Do you want to come with me? I've never been this way before. He said, well, let's try it. And so that's how you can, all of you, clamber on board and go the direction that he wants to go. And by the time you've finished, everything is pulled into shape. All of you are in the same mold, rather than one of you standing out there as if you're doing your own thing and an exception. So, yes, that's fun.
Now, how well did you know the show before you went into this?
I didn't. I mean, the only thing I'd ever heard was Bobby Darin singing. But, of course, Bobby Darin's version is not the version. That was the commercial version. But it did encourage a lot of people, I suppose, to go along and see what all this fuss was about in a show called the Threepenny Opera, incorporating this song. So over the years, those people have become aficionados of the music itself.
It's incredibly relevant. It's sort of depressing how relevant it is in some ways. I mean, I'll be curious to see how it resonates for audiences, but, you know, at its basis, it's basically the way that poor people treat each other, you know? I mean, it's not particularly glamorous, it's not particularly pretty, it's hard being at the bottom of the heap, and it's hard having to scrap by and, you know, get your needs met on the most basic level, and it's not very glamorous, you know, and there's beggars, thieves, and whores in this world that the Threepenny Opera inhabits, and to me, those messages in that story we see them every day in the news. I mean, I don't even have to sort of recount it. It's every piece of drama now. So, you know, if you want to start with the Sopranos all the way to, you know, I don't know, The Wire. I'm thinking all the HBO shows, but, you know, it's very, very relevant.
And talk about the role and who she is.
Well, Mrs. Peachum is, you know, the wife, the mother and the wife, essentially, but she's also really the ultimate bourgeois character in the show. She's very much someone who represents the idea of, you know, smushing people to get ahead and the sort of aspirant mentality, and more is better, and what you think of me matters more than what I think of me. And, you know, it's really fun stuff to play because it's so other-focused. It really makes you, and it's very angry. She's a very angry character, so...
Well, you know, it's been one of those pieces that I've loved forever, like since I was a little young theater thing, and I just love the music and I love the message of it, and it's intimidating because it's such a masterwork, and I thought I just wanted to try something, you know, really intimidating and try to stretch myself, and so then I was able to get Wally Shawn on board, who's a friend of mine, to do the translation, and that was particularly exciting because he speaks German, and so he was able to actually go to the Brecht without anybody in between and do his sort of own translation, and so it's incredibly modern. And he did the lyrics and the book, so it's a completely new translation by Wally. And so it feels very modern, because Wally's a modern political thinker, like Brecht was a modern political thinker in his day. And so I'm just incredibly excited and thrilled to have the opportunity to do something like this. So
everybody knows Threepenny Opera. The music is unbelievable in Threepenny Opera. It's great music. I mean, I've heard it done like Nails on a Blackboard, but this music is the same arrangements that Kurt Weill originally did with the same instrumentation. So you can't, that's going to be great. And I sing with, what do you call that thing that you pedal and you, harmonium. Yeah, of course, I only use it on my own stuff. I actually get to sing with a harmonium. That's great. Yeah, it's, you know, it's interesting that Kurt Weill and Brecht were doing this in the 30s. But everything is based on that. You know, film noir lighting is based on the German expressionist style, which those two guys were very much a part of in that time. So the German expressionist lighting and the whole thing, that's where everybody learned from. So it's kind of great. I'm I'm thrilled. I'm going to school. I'm learning on my feet, but it's wonderful. I feel, you know, who wouldn't do this, you know?
Let's talk about this great role in your interpretation of her.
I'm just trying to make her real so that it doesn't seem like I'm acting. And I guess as the dialogue becomes intertwined with the way you speak, then when you're feeling things, you don't think at all. You just feel, and you can speak, and you don't, you know, it's a process, because sometimes you walk in and you think you have it, and then you don't have it anymore, you know. I got it, I don't got it, you know. It'll be interesting when we do the previews to see, because the audience is the third member. You know, that's the other, because the way Brecht wrote, they're included. They're like a cast member. So it'll be interesting how that works. You know, I think it's wonderful. It's actually kind of magical for me. So that's what I love about it. And I get to be home.
It's provocative. It's a really great group of people. It's not trashy in terms of, you know, I can't really do... I can do trashy films, but I can't really do trashy plays, because you have to just... It's too mind-numbing. I'd just die. So I like, in the plays, in theatre, I have to do things that are a bit more, you know, meaningful.
Did you know the show well before you went into this?
I'm not well, but, you know, I'd seen it a few times, and I'd studied Brecht a bit at drama school. And I think in Europe, Brecht's much more done more often, and you're more familiar with I think in the way he... The whole sort of alienation thing, and the way his work is presented is much more known there. And but, you know, it was interesting. We did a workshop of it about a year and a bit ago, and that was good to you know, get to know Wally's adaptation, and also just to understand the characters a bit more, because you know, this character's it was interesting. I had some preconceived notions that were all wrong, and since then I've had him permeating away in my head.
So talk about working with Scott. He's such a visceral, and he's very much into textures from a certain time period when he does his show. So talk about your look of your character and what he's turned into, McKee.
My look of my character, I think in a way it's just I don't know. I'm not quite sure what he's sort of like. You know, he's a dandy, and he's also a thug. So we've tried to combine those two things. You know, he's very hard and nasty, but yet he's got to be very sort of sexy and provocative and charismatic. So I think with Scott, he's been so great about exploring the extremes of the character that you've got to, you know, for an audience, you've got to be scared by him, and I've got to be, you know, kind of psychopathic, and at the same time I've got to want everyone to fuck. Oh, can't say that, can I?
Sure, we're cable.
Oh, I've got to want everyone to fuck me. You've got to want to fuck him, and you've got to be horrified by him. So, you know, that's kind of a challenge. Yeah.
One of the most popular musical review shows of all time is the landmark musical Jacques Brel is Alive and Well and Living in Paris. The original production opened in 1968 at the now defunct Village Gate Theatre in the heart of Greenwich Village, where it ran for over 4 years. Well, now Jacques Brel is back in a brand new production at the Zipper Theatre on West 37th Street under the guidance of director Gordon Greenberg, in a shiny new production where he's got a spectacular cast of 4 to sing 27 of Brecht's memorable and timeless songs. They are Gay Marshall, Natasha Diaz, Rodney Hicks, and the original Jekyll and Hyde himself, Robert Cuccioli.
It was the time when Russells could sing. It was the time of the silent movies. It was the time when Russells was king. It was the time when Brussels took out a dress so dashing and gay. Dance on the tram, it's a beautiful day. Dance in your slacks and your high-button shoes. Dance on the tram, get the gossip and news.
Locked up inside my opium den, surrounded by some Chinamen, I'd sing my song that I sang then about the time they called me Jackie. If I could be for only an hour, if I could be for an hour every day, if I could be for just one little hour, cute, 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 in a stupid ass way. I'm still finding, I mean, I've found a way to personalize each one, but it shifts for me. I like have a new discovery just before I sing a new song that I'll use a different journey for that song, and it comes out differently. So I think that will continue, to be honest with you, and that's the mark of a good piece. You know, when you can constantly rediscover and you're not, you know, collecting your paycheck every Thursday or something like that. And slowly I've been able to find some sort of a through line for myself, even though it's technically a review. Trying to find some sort of a character arc so that I've got some sort of a storyline going on. Whether that comes across to the audience or not, I don't know, but it helps me. So I've discovered that too.
My death waits to allow my friends a few good times before it ends. Let's drink to that and to the passing time.
When we got on this beautiful stage at the Zipper, my God, this space is it's just magic. It's so European. You walk in and you enter a different universe. That's exactly what we needed, and man, it took us, the performers, to a totally different place. And then the lights, you added the lights, and it feels like you're literally inhabiting a painting. That's what it feels like. You are able to go to these very, I don't know what the word is, abstract. You can really feel free to inhabit that abstract emotional space and just go, and it's like doing Hamlet. I mean, I've always wanted to do Shakespeare, and this feels like that. It's just enormous.
I waited for Madeline, I only have myself to blame. I went and caught a cold again. Shoot Madeline, she never came. I waited for Madeline, all I did was call her name 1,000 times since 10:30. Madeline, she never came. I play a young kid who goes from being a boy to a man, and you see him like all young kids during the draft time, where they think about all they think about is love and like the simple things, and you kind of watch him grow into this whole other thing. His innocence just is taken away, and Statue comes. It's funny because Statue is kind of really his last arc in the story, but it comes kind of in the middle of it. And next, of course, is you find out what really happened to his innocence, you know, and Gordon structured it in a way where it's just almost effortless to have that uneven arc, but at the same time, you really have some place to go with each thing, and it's not just Johnny One Note, as we see in musicals, you know, and it's not unexpected, really. You know, you don't know where it's going to go, and then you're just, oh Jesus. I mean, it still messes me up sometimes even doing it, you know.
This particular show has so many associations for me because I was in the show when I was 12 years old, and tonight was an especially wonderful night because two of my oldest friends in the world, Josh Charles and Jonathan Mark Sherman, both of whom I was in the show with when I was a kid, and Julia Murney, who I went to see yesterday in Philadelphia to go see her in Wicked. We had all done this show when we were kids, and of course when you're 12 you get the very superficial or visceral impact of these songs, but looking at it again 20 years later, there is so much more to it, and so much poetry and humanity in this music, and I feel honored to be a part of it and to be able to revisit it in this sort of richer, more adult way.
I really sort of wanted to go back to the original Brel recordings because his recordings were all done with, you know, a 60, 70-piece orchestra, and, you know, there are three of us up there because of space limitations, and I'm playing several instruments, and the percussionist is flipping back and forth between the drum set, the marimba, and the chimes. The bass player is back and forth between acoustic and electric. We're all throwing throwing instruments all around up there, and I'm sort of trying to recreate those textures because everything he did was so grand and so sweeping, and I really wanted to try to do something that had that same sort of lift and that kind of orchestral sweep to it. So
you make it sound like a full orchestra up there.
We're trying. So
and talk about performing in the show too. What that's been like for you?
Oh, that's great. I mean, as a musical director, you never get the chance to do what I'm doing. It was, I met Gordon a couple of years ago before we did a production of this up in Albany, and he basically told me, learn the accordion because I'm putting you on stage in this. So I sort of, picked up an instrument and had a friend who had done a Pump Boys and Dinette somewhere who taught me the basics of the accordion, and then Gordon threw me on stage and said, okay, go. So it's great. It's, using many different parts of your brain at the same time.
And up again around, and up again around. So high above the ground, we feel we gotta yell. We're on a carousel, a crazy carousel. Carnivals and cotton candy, carousels and calliopes. Crazy clowns chasing brass rings, soda pop and rock candy trees. Merry-go-rounds quickly turning for you and me and the whole world madly turning till you can't see.
I love this new interpretation of Carousel because you go into French in the middle of the whole thing while they're singing in English around you.
Yeah. You know what I love about that is that Carousel in French is actually a very, very, very joyful song. It's about being completely dizzy on the sort of euphoria of love. And in English, it's always been interpreted as a kind of a nervous breakdown, which we do. But what I like is that it does go through that stage of being, like someone who's just had maybe a little bit too much to drink just before they kind of pass out.
It's really wonderful because you've taken that song to another level that I've not seen before.
Oh, I'm so glad. I wish I could sing the whole thing in French in a way. When you know what the real words are, the original words are, you kind of want to put that across, and it adds another level of intensity when you have that going on in your mind, what the actual original words are. That helps me.
Now, you had Ellie Stone here tonight, who was the original interpreter of these in 1968 at the Village Gate. What was that like talking to her tonight?
Well, she was fabulous because she seems to like it a lot, which we always hope for, when someone's sort of an icon like that and they come along and like it, that's what you want. And I was thrilled because she came to the dress rehearsal and she said, nah, it's okay. But tonight she said, wow, I loved it. So I'm happy.